My name is Couch Cooper and we are here at number 5 of the top split screen and couch co-op games, PS4 and PlayStation 5 of all time. The hell is this that we're looking at, Coop? This is technically on record as being the first zombie game ever made. It's called Entombed and it came out in the mid-80s. It came out on the Atari 2600. There's something very interesting about this game. Turns out that it's basically procedurally generated, one of the first of its kind. It was this way because the designers couldn't actually put a mapped out campaign. There wasn't enough space to do that, so they had to put an algorithm in and a bunch of assets to then randomize them. And here's the catch. They can't work out, or researchers can't see, how on earth they did this. This game was made by one, maybe two people, and they managed to track down one of the coders. And here's what he had to say about it. He was too hammered, it turns out, to remember exactly what he put in to get that outcome. But what an incredible story, and what a good bit of foreshadowing to what we've got coming up. This is Call of Duty World at War, and this was the first installation of the Call of Duty franchise that featured the zombie mode, and it was an area that I spent way too much time in. I had it on the Xbox 360 and it was a mode that I migrated to immediately. It was billed as a bit of a sideshow, a bit of an offcut, something a little bit extra that Treyarch just threw in and just said, there you go lads, have a little muck about with that, see what you think of it. No one knew that this mode would become almost pivotal from here on in, both with YouTube and the series itself. You freaking stink! Entire YouTube careers, if you can call them that, have been built off this zombie mode, especially when the first Black Ops came out, and it's just grown from there on in. It's a great place to look if you're playing that wave mode and you want to work out what to do next, what switch to open, what door to go through to be able to allow you to stay in game longer. That was the original mode, and that's kind of the go-to area. This video is particularly going to focus on Call of Duty Cold War, 2021 game that featured on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. This particular review is going to be about the PlayStation 5 version, and it's the first game in the list of 25 that I'm really leaning on because of its PlayStation 5 performance and look. It is simply incredible. The looks and power obviously bleed out into the split screen, which is a point I want to cover and feel it's important. It is very performance heavy and looks and feels so smooth and incredible. We had the debate with a horizontal and vertical. I'm showing you horizontal split. I feel the game is so strong in reflections, in frame rates, explosives, smoke. Everything feels AAA when you play this on split screen. This video is also going to be about the best modes to choose and the place to get the most enjoyment out of with all of this content, because our first stop is going to be the offline multiplayer tab. And this is what we did. We set up a team system where there's 6 other players on the other team that are AI controlled, and then me and my buddy are just us. So it's 2 against the rest of the AI players. It's very funny. It feels like a horde mode. You have to stick together. You're constantly looking to use the spy plane and all your perks. And remember, all of this footage is with the ray tracing mode switched on. I thought that might default off when you put the split screen on. And also you can switch around that horizontal and vertical view easily there in the settings, even during game, which is epic. Didn't spot it till viewing the replay, but the UI is still screwed on the left hand screen. We had this in the other modes, it was fixed, so hopefully that's a pointer to get on top of that. It's a quick patch. The game came out in 2021 for sakes. We've also been very lucky in the multiplayer mode with private PvP to have access to all of the cool equipment and cool maps. There's a shed ton of them. There's new ones and classic ones we're going to get to in a second. But I want to push in this first section of the video that don't ignore that multiplayer tab. You can set up some really fun systems within this, which brings me nicely over to Nuketown PvP. It's etched in my brain, that map. I can shut my eyes and walk around it. If I was like blindfolded in a hostage situation and they said, it's just the layout of Nuketown, you're at the back, you're starting at the back, I'd be fine. I'd be fine with the stairs, I'd be fine with getting in that little room, doing the swan dive out of the window. The game is off the hook when you start going for each other in these tiny maps. Screen cheating, listening for noises, firing through walls, you know how it works. Watching the game is kind of a joy on split screen. Seeing these two separate images going hell for leather, and the resolution and the beautiful lighting, the dust, how a lot of the explosions look, and using the RPG and seeing things whistle across the map, it's really incredible still. Even though this game's coming up to over a year old, it holds up very well graphically. That PlayStation 5 is working hard when it's pushing this amount of graphical fidelity and beautifully high frame rates. It was a crazy couple of months. We had Dirt 5 come out, which had stunning split screen and very crisp 4K 60 frames per second graphics, and this was close behind with amazing horizontal and vertical split screen gameplay. And remember, you can take all of this stuff online. You can take your two people online with the split screen. Alright, let's finally get to the big Z and talk about the zombie modes on this disc, and they are all incredible. I'm going to put them in order of how cool I think they are. So that brings us first to the traditional wave system, which they have altered a little bit, making it constant and also giving you some amazing drops here and there. You get to grab armor and grenades on the fly. You have to be looking around for loot, picking it up, and you are constantly pushed from every single direction. None of this do up the windows, wait for a little trickle of zombies to come through. Hell no, it goes full World War Z on you. The second section, which is relatively new to me, is a mode called Onslaught. This one's quite weird. There's an orb that has a purple circle around it that sends zombies in. You can't operate outside of this circle. You're allowed anything within it, like loot and all manner of goodies, but the circle will decide to move after the wave, so it goes full apex on you, and you're kind of chasing it down, trying to get back in. It gives another angle of panic, and it also makes you move, get on, have to make quick decisions, and it will pump quite a lot into quite an awkward area that you've got to occupy. The weapon randomization on this particular zombies is so good, and you find such crazy destructive things all over the place. It doesn't hold back on giving you OP stuff early or one-use consumable miniguns. Every time you look at the ground to see something purple, it might be a really destructive piece of machinery. We are now looking at the outbreak mode. Now allow me to crack the proverbial knuckles and tell you why this is such an incredible piece of zombie mode. It isn't in any of the previous games, and I'm not even going to tell you if it's in Vanguard, because that's the only time we're going to mention the V word. Let's look back at Entombed for a second and remember that it was a game that kind of touched on procedural generation for the first time. Well, the zombie mode outbreak aspect of that, full-blown procedural as far as I'm concerned when it comes to map variety, layout of objectives, and re-rolls of what those objectives are. This is super important because what put me off of all the other zombie modes in the majority of those previous games is the goddamn routine of it all. The waves closing in, that zombie shout that we've been hearing for the last 9 years non-stop, and just the lack of variety in game type. There's no difference in task or goal, and it just gets to you. But this is almost like a campaign that is never ever the same.
You'll be okay.
Let me talk about the overarching objective with the maps and how it works with the number system and the scaling of the enemies if you get to the end of each map. When you get to a new map, you're looking for the objective, but you're looking to also get a bit beefed up before you get to said objective, so you're kind of prepared. This map here is completely new to me. It's a bunch of ships that you had to get a rope over to the other side to order to get to other sections of important parts of that map, and it threw a complete spanner in the works for my normal woodland, nice and easy, got loads of places to go and hide. Wasn't the case with that one, and it's added to the reroll system. So every time they put new maps in, like the zoo, it was really awesome to see it injected into your Outbreak gameplay.
To one of many dark ether objects.
The map variety is also really important to me because they have different vehicles occupying different maps and sometimes different special infected or zombie layout. We also came across a helicopter which I'm pretty sure has been in it for a while, but just did not realise that shooting that bird down will pay off. And here's the thing, it's a truly random feeling AAA experience for me, and there's nothing like it I've got on a couch co-op level. You're so autonomous, there's no tethering, you can get on with your own thing, but you do need, and bear this in mind, a lot of the UI is quite difficult to read. You kind of need to go on a big 4K TV to make head and a tail of that map. That's my only major complaint with it. Notice that our user interface is back to normal on the left screen, and I've stuck with the vertical split. I actually quite like that squared look. I feel widescreen TVs just seem to give you a bigger pixel count. It's just my preference. You may prefer that horizontal. It's more traditional. I like it on driving games, but with this it kind of looks pretty cool having a huge swathe of the screen to yourself. The Outbreak mode has up to 7 maps that can re-roll on it now, and they don't come in order. No maps are really harder than the others, it's just what tier you access that map on. So the map you're most familiar with couldn't appear until right at the end of your run, which would make it nightmare difficult. All the zombies are packing armor, you need to upgrade everything at the end of each map, pack a punch, give yourself revive, and just turn into a massive moving badass. On the original review of this video that I put out at launch, there was so many comments about it not performing, people getting kicked, it would freeze, none of the maps would load out. When Outbreak mode was first spawned, it was only 3 maps. Even then I was like, this is awesome still. But for 2022, and a game that, you know, isn't getting as much maintenance as the newer Call of Duties would get, it's still banging, it's still amazing. I've even joined some Facebook groups of people, there's like tens of thousands of Cold War zombie fans out there still. It's still going really strong and still looking great for a PlayStation 5 game. It goes full Death Stranding Troy Baker here and spawns in some absolute nightmare material.
What the hell just happened?
Dead Ops has become a Black Ops tradition, right? It was there on the first Black Ops game and has stayed with us since. It's been a twin stick that was actually available if you completed the campaign. I remember them pulling that sneaky one on us, but this is there from the get-go. Holy shit, it's a joy. They've thrown in so many weird guerrilla references with the spoon and the chunks of gold. There's loot everywhere with this. It's a little bit like Candy Crush more than it is a twin stick zombie shooter. It's just gone crazy with the drops, with the weapons, with shiny balls floating around you. We had so much fun with it. It even manages an inadvertent first person shooter view, which nearly kicked me off the whole system, but still looks great for the fact that it flips the whole engine round and you're back on the ground again. That's done with triangle and is a crazy idea to put into a twin stick. This was up to 4 player on early editions of Black Ops games. Unfortunately, we've seen the local player count decrease massively on Call of Duty games in recent history. That's a crying shame. That may change with the power on the systems. Dirt 5 certainly offers a 4-player split, but for this we have to settle with just 2. And not to be outdone, it splits the screen as well on certain game modes with Dead Ops. There's a crazy amount of content on this disc. It was a mind blower to see it flip to a Mario style level, which I hadn't seen before. We actually opened up a secret room and it warped us into this castle. I was like, is there anything else we need to know? Modern Warfare 2 is also just about to come out. How could I forget? It flashes up on just about every lobby screen, and it's there as one of the 3 pillars on the title screen I wonder what's going to happen with what they offer as an alternative mode to zombies. It used to be a really cool Spec Ops thing where you would take over like a big estate. That was also put in co-op. It was excellent, the co-op content with some of their older Modern Warfare games. So let's hold our breaths and see what happens with that launch. Nothing really equals the effort that Treyarch have put into their previous zombie modes and this zombie mode with its incredible ideas, that outlandish Outbreak mode, which is going to stay with me for years, and I guarantee you they will be duplicating that game model all over future zombie releases because it's just an awesome aspect, almost like a roguelike meets looter shooter trapped inside terrifying zombie worlds that you teleport in and out of. Can't think of anything better. I think price is becoming more and more important now. It's particularly with Call of Duty games because there are nearly hundreds of them, and spending that 70 quid every year on a zombie mode that may or may not be amazing is a difficult decision. This is now available on shelves pre-owned at around 20 quid. I've seen it $30. It's common because it's a game that gets put back on the shelves when the new ones come out, but this one's a real gem. It should not be put back on the shelf. Don't put baby back on the shelf. So next time you're looking at a zombie game, spare a thought for people like Pro Cynical, who have only got 9 million subscribers and basically cut their teeth playing this game for 24 hours a day. Also remember the humble Entombed with its strange undead Egyptian mummified zombies, I think they were, but more importantly its accidental drunken algorithm that allowed a procedural generation code that is still baffling researchers and programmers to this very day. And please spare a thought for my good self, who had to sacrifice 200 gigabyte to install this section of game, which I'm pretty sure is no bigger than 30 to 35, but of course it forced the Modern Warfare goddamn battle royale thing on there, which is probably 150 plus. Didn't even ask me. You know, PlayStation 5s have only got 600 SSD. That's a third of my goddamn SSD gone with compulsory content that I didn't want. They definitely get a ticking off for that, and it's like an annual event installing my Call of Duty zombies, but when I get it on there, I keep it on there for a fair while, I tell you. I will be keeping this near on 20-minute format for the next 4 games that come up. I want to give them a really good deep dive. I like to go back to year dot with a lot of franchises and look at the roots. It's going to be a tense one. We've got some major large split screen and couch co-op games coming up in that list. It will be dropping incrementally over the next few weeks. No pressure, Coop. If you're like, what is this top 25 thing it keeps going on about? It's my massive list. There's a link in the comments. There's going to be an annotation. I have, of course, been Couch Coop. I will see you all down there.
Dimensional tear coming up.